Welcome to the Agronomy and Farm Management Podcast. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Elizabeth. Thanks for joining us today.
Welcome back. And today we're really excited to be introducing to all of you our new corn specialist who joined OSU back in January, Dr. Osler Ortez. So we're going to jump right in. Osler, could you take a moment and introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hi, Elizabeth and Amanda. Thank you for hosting me on this episode. I am Osler Ortez, the new corn agronomist, and I am also emerging crops specialist for Ohio State. I come from Lincoln, Nebraska.
So you come from Lincoln, Nebraska, but you've had a little bit of a journey before you got there too. So can you tell us a little bit about where way back when you first got interested in agriculture and kind of your journey up to this point in academia?
Absolutely. I will be happy to share. That was kind of my short version. I come from Lincoln, Nebraska. Now let's do the long version. So originally from northern Nicaragua, something I like to say, first and foremost, I am a farmer. I am considered myself a farmer. I am still involved in coffee production back home. I am just not physically there, but I still get to engage in my family operations over there. So that's how my journey started. My family over more than 2 or 3 generations have been producing coffee, commodity coffee. Now we have been trying to expand into specialty markets and find a little bit of better luck on that. From home, I moved to Honduras. I was there for 4 years. I got my undergrad in agriculture at Zamorano University, where I was exposed to all many disciplines on not only on plant science, but also on animal science, food industry processing, environmental resources, and agribusiness administration. So that was the focus of my program. And from there, I knew that I wanted to pursue grad school. So I finished college and I moved to United States. First, I conducted a couple of internship programs in Kansas, working at Kansas State University. Over there, I was engaged in projects expanding all the way from corn, soybeans, wheat, and sorghum. So staple crops for the state in Kansas and probably not too different from Ohio. Then I started my master's degree. My research focus during my master's, I was working with soybeans and nitrogen limitation. Our studies were located in Kansas, the state of Kansas, and also we had some good partnerships in South America, Argentina. We had a couple of institutions there that were helping us in getting things established. I got to visit Argentina as part of these projects, and it was a success. I knew that it was probably not enough at that point, and I still wanted to pursue a doctoral degree, and I moved just 2 hours north to Lincoln, Nebraska, where I studied corn ear abnormalities and productivity losses. That was a journey of 3 or 4 years. I finished in Nebraska in 2021, and I moved to Ohio right on January 2022.
Well, we're really excited to have you here, and coffee is probably my favorite food group. So one of these days I'm going to pin you down to learn more about how it's produced, because that's really cool.
Absolutely. I will be happy to share.
So could you expand on what research topics you're most interested in now that you're here in Ohio?
Well, I am still kind of on my learning curve. Something I like to say is that I am open to learning and identifying what are those critical needs for the position I have, corn and emerging crops. So that certainly brings a lot of good dynamics. And on the short term, right now, there are different projects that I am being part of. And one of them, we are looking at not only yield response, but also quality response to sulfur applications in corn. And we will be tackling that from the grain perspective, but also we have partnered with some folks from animal science that are going to help us to understand the nutritional value on the silage side of things. This is something that also involves Department of Extension here at Ohio State. So that's one of the things that are on my plate right now, working through that. Hopefully we will get some on-farm fields planted sometime this April or May. That is happening. An additional initiative that I am working on is we are interested in testing some biological aids for cover crop establishment on a corn system. So that will, if we get success on the submission that we are working through, that will be started later this year. And the idea there is to go or mitigate some of those bottlenecks for cover crop establishment. We all know that the more biomass we can get from a cover crop, that will translate on greater benefits, whatever those benefits are. So we want to look into that. And additionally, we will be doing some review of literature. This is a multi-state effort where we want to investigate or document, formalize the negative effects of storm damage in the U.S. Corn Belt. So we have individuals from Ohio State that are involved on this, all the way Pennsylvania and going far west up to Kansas, Nebraska, and the Dakotas. So we will be looking into that. Again, that will be more a review of literature and consolidating some of that. And we want to somehow quantify the impact of different adverse climatic events and how that impacts corn productivity in our Corn Belt states. And we can look at that from different perspectives. It can be hail damage, it can be wind damage, green snap, root lodging, or plant lodging, sorry. So there are several ways that we are considering as part of that.
So on the nutritional study that you first mentioned, are you looking at how nutrient applications to corn silage affect the nutrient availability or production practices, or do you guys know yet exactly what you're going to be looking at?
So yeah, thank you for following up on that. The project on sulfur, we are looking at two different farms, one that will be a sandy soil and another one a heavy soil, heavy clay soil. And what we will be doing, we are looking at a couple of rates for sulfur. And we will be applying that at planting. And the way that we want to measure the potential impact, it will be on grain quantity or grain yield, but also we will be looking at the protein components of those yields. We all know that corn is not necessarily a main protein source. However, depending on which industry you are working with, it might be more or less relevant. For instance, if you are feeding corn grain to dairy in the state of Ohio, whoever is preparing those rations on dairy, they will appreciate an extra 1% or extra 0.5% of protein in your corn grain. So that will be one measure of it on the grain side. And you also mentioned on the silage, so there will be different measures on that. We will do it end of the season through grain quality, but also in season through silage quality. And the way that we are trying to document some of those potential effects will be, again, by looking at protein, and proteins content can also be translated into amino acids and composition. And so those are some of the main things that we are tackling with that project.
So we know you just got started in January, but you just presented at CTC. What are some of the highlights of things that you're already sharing around Ohio?
Yeah, I was at CTC just last week, and some of the things that I am already putting together for presentations and talking to farmers or industry on different meetings. I have CTC, in fact, has not been the only program. There has been several meetings already as part of the spring programs that OSU Extension has. And some of the highlights that I have been sharing is going back to those agronomics, the agronomic principles that we all know and we cannot forget about. That spans all the way from seeding rates, planting dates. We know that Ohio, with all the dynamics that we have across the state, this is something that needs continued attention. We know wet springs really limits the number of days that we have for in terms of planting season. And we know that the later we get, we can be penalized in yields. So in that perspective, looking at some relative maturities and adjusting based on that, that's something that I have been referring to. There is also always the interest for improving crop rotations. There are several studies that documented yield penalties when we are continuously cropping corn or continuously cropping soybeans. So that's another reminder that I have been trying to share with the different groups. Certainly, bottom line of those agronomic examples is that we must keep in mind that it's all affected by the different hybrids or genetics. It's also influenced by the management that we are putting out in the farm, and also those environmental interactions, which is the factor that we have the least control. But certainly, if we are proactive enough, we can try to mitigate or minimize the impact of those adverse conditions that we run to, unfortunately, almost every year. If not one thing, it can be the other.
So the other part of your title is emerging crops. And have you set your sights on anything in Ohio? Have producers mentioned anything there that you want to focus on?
Yeah, that's probably one of the hard questions that I get with my title, and I don't think I have a clear answer yet. I believe that this is a market-driven field. It's still evolving. It's always changing depending on what are the market needs, what farmers are trying to do at the farm level. I will take as emerging crops cover crops, and so cover crops is one of the projects that we are looking at and doing some biological work to improve that cover crop establishment. So I mentioned that earlier, cover crops, and then just this morning I was on the Natural Rubber Symposium meeting here at OSU. Ohio State for many years has led several initiatives trying to promote natural rubber as a domestic crop in the United States. This is a large initiative, and I have been part of the conversations starting in 2021 when I was not even here, but happily I was able to engage with the group at that point, and those conversations keep going. There are many different steps that need to take place before a domestic rubber enterprise can be established in the United States. U.S. Currently relies on imports of natural rubber for almost 100%. So we are trying to, the effort is trying to shift that and have at least some local production. And my role on that will be on the agronomics. It will certainly be a new crop if we get to that point. It will be a new crop, and by being a new crop, new domesticated crop, we will have to understand a lot of the basic agronomics that I just mentioned on corn, that also applies to this. And this for the Ohio location geography is referring to dandelions. So that's the alternative for natural rubber in Ohio. As you move to other states in the U.S., that plant or that crop is different, but Ohio is about dandelions. And this is a larger effort. I am still part of the conversations. I will not be surprised if in the short or medium term, I see myself leading some agronomic plots on natural rubber somewhere in Ohio. So that's another example there. And just briefly mentioning, I have here, not that I am involved, but production of hemp that had some interest a few years ago. I haven't heard much about it anymore. There is also a couple of faculty members here at Ohio State. They are doing some work with pennycress for biofuel uses. I know there are some Kernza projects that in fact is a partnership back with the University of Nebraska and Ohio State. So those are some of the things that I need to keep my eyes open and hopefully get to see some research opportunities or engagement opportunities here down the road.
I know I'm especially excited to see what kind of cool things you get us into. With the way markets are, we're always looking for new ways to make money in agriculture. So I think it's going to be exciting to have somebody on board that really focuses on having those emerging crops in your line of sight and figuring out how we can make those work. So on the flip side, something that your predecessor, Peter Thomison, always did was the corn performance trials. Is that something you have plans to continue?
Absolutely, yeah, great point. I forgot to mention earlier, but yes, part of my position appointment here at Ohio State, it includes working with the Ohio Corn Performance trials, and that's something that I am certainly already involved. Rich Minio, he has been the manager of this program for probably more than 2 decades, and the program itself has been in existence for already 50 years. It got started back in 1972, and there is a very strong wealth of data and information that has been collected over the years. The program is spread in 10 or 12 different locations across the state, and we work with several seed companies. They submit entries for testing hopefully their best hybrids, their best materials, and we get to test them and see what is their agronomic performance based on the different soil types and environments. So that's something that I am excited about, and certainly that will also bring some synergistic opportunities in terms of doing or pursuing some additional research questions as part of that research platform. So I am looking forward, and I have already started to look at some of long-term trends, and hopefully we'll have a student helping to look at the more specific changes over time as part of this program. So yeah, absolutely happy to be engaging and hopefully expanding on that legacy that Peter Thomison and Rich Minio have put together over the years.
Awesome. So if farmers have questions or research interests, anyone in the ag industry wants to reach you, what's the best way to get in contact?
I am always open to chat. So my email will be an option, my phone number. I can share those with you both, and that can be part of the podcast announcement. Phone number and email, and if not, I am located in Wooster campus. I am just recently located to my new office, Williams Hall 214. So feel free to stop by, drop me a call, a text message, or an email, and I will certainly be sure to get back and get conversations going. So that would be probably the best ways.
Okay, great. What about research, website, social media, any of that kind of thing lined up yet?
Yeah, I have some social media presence, Twitter and LinkedIn, and there is plenty of information also on my departmental website, so I can share that link with you
Yep.
both, and that can be part of the announcement. So happy to share all of that.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Osler, for joining us, not only on the podcast, but at the university, joining our team. And like Elizabeth said, we're excited to get to know you and work with you in the field.
Thank you very much, Amanda and Elizabeth. I like to say these are exciting times. I am happy to be in Ohio. I am happy to be part of Extension, part of research, and in fact, I will also be doing some teaching later on. So that will keep my days busy. But when you enjoy what you do, it's just a good thing. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Agronomy and Farm Management Podcast. Join us again in 2 weeks for our next episode.
Hey, podcast listeners, just a reminder to give us a like or subscribe so you know when we release new episodes. If you're enjoying the podcast, be sure to leave us a review also. We appreciate the comments.